morning, everybody. Thanks for coming again to the Congress Hall, or maybe for the first day, second day in Mexico 2016. By the way, this is the last day of the summer this year. Thanks for sharing it with us in a hall without any sunlight. Sir Martin Sorrell is already with us. There's something going on. And Christian Muche is with me, the one who made it all possible here, Mr. de Mexico. So what about the first day before we directly go to Sir Martin Sorrell and to Jack Dorsey? He's already waiting.
Right.
2 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco.
1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Not quite so bad as we thought.
Yeah.
No problem.
So we shouldn't waste.
I don't feel quite so sorry for him.
So we shouldn't waste any time because it's obvious that you're all here to listen to both to her chat and their conversation. So we have a short video with a short summary about yesterday's highlight. Before I summarize everything, let's have a look what happened yesterday.
De Mexico Day 1. Looks like a great party. Was much more than that.
Exactly. So I hope to see you all day around here. Check it out, all our different stages, whether it's here in the Congress Hall with plenty of highlights, with plenty of great speakers and brands coming up, whether it's in the Emotion Hall, the Experience Hall, or the Debate Hall. I hope to see you all day. And now let's move on with the opening session. Sir Martin.
Thank you very much, Christian. Good morning, everybody. We have, so I was, let me just give you a bit of background. I was sort of sitting, minding my own business in New York on Sunday afternoon, and I suddenly got an email from Jack to say after 1 year of planning, he was unable to be with us. So I got down on my knees and begged for him to come, but unfortunately, for reasons unknown to you in the room and to me, but known to him, he had to stay in San Francisco. But that's the bad news. The good news is that we managed, he's in, you see the top half of his body. He's actually in his pajamas. He's wearing a black T-shirt, but that's the top half of his pajamas. It's 1 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco, and a big thank you, Jack, for sincerely for doing this for us. We're obviously disappointed that you couldn't make it in person, and you saw from the film what you're missing. It's 55,000 people or thereabouts here in Cologne at de Mexico, which sounds as though it should be some Latin American music festival, but actually is a high-tech marketing, advertising, technology conference that you should be at. Now, I'm going to do what I did yesterday with Shane. I'm going to ask the audience to email me at msorrell@wpp.com, 2 R's, 2 L's, at wpp.com. Any questions? Like yesterday, we got a lot, and some of which we answered, and some of which we're going to answer. Shane and I am going to answer. So I'll pick up with Jack if we can't get through it. But let me kick off, Jack, by asking you, overnight, there was an announcement that Twitter have launched some Apple TV apps, Microsoft apps, I think, Kindle, Amazon apps too. Perhaps you could just, to start off with, tell us a little bit about the background to that announcement and what you're trying to do, because obviously there's a lot of news flow around Twitter. As a news medium, you'd expect it, but there's a lot of news around Twitter itself. So maybe you could kick off by talking a little bit about the Apple TV apps that you launched last night.
Yeah, and first and foremost, good morning, and really sorry I couldn't be there in person. My head is much smaller than what you see behind Sir Martin. Yeah, we're really excited about tonight because this is the first time that we're streaming an NFL game directly into Twitter. And one of the reasons why we're so excited about this is for 10 years as a service, we've been seeing people tweet about TV screens. And the team asked a very simple question: what if we were to bring this all together in one experience? What if you could watch the NFL game right within Twitter? You could watch TV right within the Twitter app and tweet about it right there. But it shouldn't really matter what the screen is that you have in your hands, or if you have it in front of your television. You should be able to tweet from anywhere and see the conversation around the game. So we're really happy to announce a number of TV apps that you can bring Twitter and the conversation along with the game right to your screen. So that's what we announced yesterday. And tonight is the actual first NFL Thursday night game on Twitter, which we're really excited about, and the team is busy getting ready for it. It's all hands on deck right now.
So tonight it's the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets, is it? Have I got it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
And how many games did Twitter buy from the NFL? How many Thursday night games have you bought?
We have 10 Thursday night games, and we're simulcasting with our partner CBS and NBC. And what's really cool is, we've been seeing this behavior for quite some time, as I said. So every Thursday night, we just see a ton of activity around tweets and people having a conversation about what they're seeing on the game, the commentary, and then meeting new people based around that interest. So you'll be able to see it all in one screen, all in one experience. And we think, that will continue to contribute even more to the conversation because it's just really easy to get to.
Now, am I allowed to ask you what you paid the NFL for these games?
No, we have a revenue split with the NFL, and we're really happy to continue our long-standing partnership with them.
Okay, well, look, let me just start off, and obviously that's an exciting development, and the applications that you launched last night in relation to this new content. But let me just start off by saying that WPP invested 2 years ago on behalf of its clients about $150 million in Twitter. That's out of the portfolio worldwide of about $75 billion. So a relatively small amount. But what's interesting is last year it was about $240 million, so a significant increase. And this year it's projected at about $350 million. And the revenues of Twitter as a whole are around, last year were about $2.2 billion. So the question, Jack, really is this. We've doubled our spend on Twitter as a group on behalf of our clients, obviously with client approval and client support. And that shows a significant degree of confidence in Twitter. But there's a lot of controversy around Twitter. You've come back to run Twitter in addition to your responsibilities at Square, which we might talk a little bit about as well. Why is it that Twitter, frankly, I mean, it's not profitable. It loses money and has done for a number of years, and it hasn't been able to monetize effectively, despite the increased support that we're giving it, and I'm sure our competitors are giving it too. Why is it that it is so much of a struggle?
Well, it's we believe we're building a really interesting and also big business, and we've been one of the innovators in terms of creating new ad formats for digital and specifically mobile. Over 80% of the people that use Twitter are on mobile phones, and we're a service that was born entirely mobile as well. So we started with SMS. Adam Bain and the team figured out an entirely new ad format. And we've been working with our partners and our advertising partners to continue to figure out how to speak in this new world and to speak in a way that is really relevant to the audience, but continues to deliver return on investment. So we're busy right now making sure that we're really investing in better technology, so that advertisers are spending less time on the system and more time focused on their campaigns and their customers and attracting their customers in new ways. In terms of the service itself, we're continuing to see growth, and it's something that we reported on our last earnings call. We're seeing inflection points in our usage, and this is a really strong marker. We've been around for 10 years as a service, and we've been at the forefront of not just mobile advertising, but also just how people understand what's happening in the world, how people interact with the world from their phones. And we were one of the first. It's one of the craziest things to think about is Twitter started before the iPhone, before you had all of these apps in your pocket and the ability to really get anything right to your hands. So this is something that we're constantly looking at, and we're constantly looking at to reinvent what we have and really consider what Twitter can be in the future.
Okay, so just sort of probing that a little bit more. I mean, there's been a significant amount of commentary about potential partners or potential owners of Twitter. There have been one or two investors. Steve Ballmer is one. Saudi Arabian investor is another, who've invested or are reported to have invested in Twitter. There's obviously been talk about Apple's interest, Facebook's interest, potential interest, Google's interest. Do you think Twitter will continue to develop on its own, or do you think it would be better served by being aligned or part of another organization?
We have great partnerships with all the companies you mentioned, and there's always been a lot of interest and passion around what we do for the past 10 years. And we've always had a lot of speculation around what Twitter could become and where Twitter would go. But we have a really strong plan ahead of us, and it's something that we're focused on executing. And I think what gives me the most confidence is we're innovating in our core. We're making our experience better, and we're seeing increases in usage. And at the same time, we're bringing entirely new experiences to bear, such as what we're launching tonight with the NFL. This is really cool technology. We've spent a lot of time making sure that we have something that is low latency, that feels extremely live, that brings the conversation right to the screen and right to the event that you're watching. And just feels like a really good experience. And just being able to get a notification that the game is on, swipe it, starts playing immediately right in your hand, is how you should be able to watch these events. And having the conversation and the commentary, the tweets that make it more interesting, more insightful, funnier, is just a great companion. So we're super excited about that and our ability to execute that.
Okay, so on this question of content rights and live streaming, you are making, you're unwilling to say how much, but we can I think the figures that have been speculated is you paid somewhere between $10 million and $17 million, so it's quite a big range on what you may have paid for the NFL streaming rights. But you're making significant investments in content and in rights. What further activities, what further content is Twitter going to invest in? What are the types of content? I'm on the board of Formula One. We've just seen Liberty, John Malone, buy Formula One at a valuation of about $8 billion enterprise value. And that shows you yet again the importance and the value of prime global content. What other things are Twitter going to do?
Well, we're really focusing a lot of our energy on live events, live news, live sports, live entertainment is our sweet spot. And it's our sweet spot because it's always been our sweet spot. For the past 10 years, we have seen people tweet about events, whether they're there or they're watching them televised at home or at work or on the commute home. This is something that Twitter has just been an amazing companion to. And it's all about making that experience better, making the experience faster, and making it richer with the tweets and the conversation that you see around the event. So Bloomberg is a good example of news and business. We've live streamed both conventions. We're really excited about the election year coming up in the United States, and Twitter is always fantastic, a fantastic companion to any election, but specifically in the United States, and it has been since 2008 when Obama first ran. The insight and the commentary that you get, and the inside track of information, and also the fact checking that you see happen live on the platform is really amazing. So being able to see those debates right within Twitter, and also the conversation right there is really compelling. Entertainment is another big avenue that we're looking at. We did a red carpet premiere with Suicide Squad. A lot of these have been early experiences that we're trying to learn from, so that we can really figure out what really matters, what really sinks, and what makes the experience great. But this, the NFL is a start to a strategy around live streaming into Twitter and providing the conversation around it. It's completely wide open, but we'd love to also see a lot more of the local content. We're really excited to have a lot of the college games as well. We think we can bring a lot of strength to that. We have a lot of sports fans on the platform, and we want to make sure that we're constantly bringing opportunities to see what they're live.
Just on that for a minute, and I'm just thinking about it from a Formula One point of view. One of the big debating points was whether rights owners are better off bundling the rights, the online and offline rights, or splitting them. And you mentioned that in relation to Thursday Night Football. You said that you were streaming the game online at the same time as it was being broadcast on terrestrial or network TV. Do you think the value of rights will be greater unbundled or bundled? Because there's a big controversy. We see the Olympics, for example, NBC and others, Globo in Brazil, going long, buying up rights, the bundled rights for many years hence, because they're worried about the splitting of the rights. Do you think rights owners do better by splitting or by bundling up as one?
I don't have a strong opinion on that. What we're focused on is making sure that the size of the audience is as large as possible. So we're really trying to increase the top of the funnel so that more and more people can see these events. And we understand that you might start watching the game on the train home, and then you will arrive home and you'll see it on your television. And you should have a pretty seamless experience, as seamless as possible. And the conversation should carry with it the entire time. We're investing in a lot of technology that enables us to do even more of that. We announced not too long ago an acquisition of a company in London, actually, called Magic Pony,
right.
Which is a bunch of deep learning and machine learning folks who have this created this amazing ability to digitally recreate live streams. And what that means is they can recognize faces and humans and action and text on the screen, and digitally reconstruct it independent of network feed or the device. So that what that means is they can provide an HD-like quality stream even on an older phone and a network where you don't have as much coverage. So that means that more and more people can see the game and see the live stream, and more people can see the conversation. And when they're in a better coverage area or on a device that is richer, has richer access to the resources, they'll get the full natural experience. So just consider more of how do you drive more tune-in, and how do you drive a bigger audience, and also provide, we think is really unique, which is the commentary and the conversation around it.
Okay, now, if I was you, I would be somewhat frustrated that Donald Trump, I mean, we may have to thank you or not thank you for Donald Trump being elected, because Twitter will have been one of his major communications assets. Do you get frustrated when you see, I mean, goodness me, it could be that Donald Trump ends up as president of the United States. We can all speculate on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But do you get somewhat frustrated when you see an event like that being shaped by activity on Twitter, and yet Twitter not achieving the commercial success? You know, it's valued now at about $13 billion, $14 billion, which is substantially less than when it went public or than it was a few years ago. Do you get frustrated by that when you see Twitter playing such an important role globally and yet not monetizing it to as great a degree as it should do?
First, I'm happy to know where you stand on the U.S. presidential election.
Who do you think is going to win, Jack? I asked Shane that.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say that.
Chicken.
You know, we're taking a long-term view, and certainly, you know, we have definitely experienced our series of challenges, and I think we're focused on the right things. You know, for a long time, Twitter has seen hundreds of use cases on our platform, and we really never opined which one was most important to strengthen. And earlier this year, we did, and we made it really about Twitter is what's happening. Twitter is about the news. Twitter is about what's happening in the world, and also the conversation around it. And that's entirely what we're focused on. And in that focus, at the beginning of the year, we started to have a much more disciplined approach about our work, and we're starting to see the positive results in our usage, and we're starting to see causation between the changes we make in the product to serve that news use case and being able to show what's happening in the world faster than any other service out there, and actually people using it more. So I'm looking more at the long term of what our service provides in the world and the impact it provides. And I trust that as long as we're focused on providing the best experience for our customers and the people that use Twitter, everything else would take care of itself, and we'll be able to monetize it in the right way, continue to support ourselves as a business and as a company.
Okay, and just related to that, because you sort of were getting into that territory, this issue of censorship. You know, we saw on Facebook this censoring of this very famous image from the Vietnamese War, the napalm, the impact of napalm bombing on young kids, and a naked Vietnamese female child, and that was censored on Facebook. Could you want to say a little bit about the approach, your attitude to censorship on Twitter, and what policies you're pursuing?
Well, our biggest policy is we want to make sure that people have control over their experience, so that we're not moderating and arbitrating a lot of the content on the system, and that's worked really well for us for the most part. We have seen recently a flare-up in targeted abuse and targeted harassment, which we're being a lot more aggressive about. And that's been our focus since the beginning of the year. We put safety as one of our top company priorities at the beginning of this year, and it's something we always knew was important, but we didn't put enough engineering and product and design resources behind, and we didn't think cohesively enough from an end-to-end product standpoint about how to really address this comprehensively. And I'm really confident in the roadmap we have before us and some of the tools that we're going to give people to make sure that they can have an experience that helps them feel safe and safe enough to continue to express themselves and to continue to express their strong opinions about what they see in the world and what they want to see more or less of. So we've always taken a pretty strong stance against censorship, but we need to take a much stronger stance to make sure that we're minimizing targeted abuse and harassment on our platform.
Okay. Now, social media, some believe, has reached saturation. The analysts look very carefully at your growth of views and of usage. They look at Facebook's, And a lot of them, or not a lot of them, some of them believe that social media has reached some level of saturation. Where do you see Twitter's growth in terms of usage coming from in the future? Is it geographical, is it functional, or is it a mixture of both?
I think it's a mixture of both. We have one of the largest audiences in the world. We have over 1 billion people who are able to view tweets through our syndicated audience. And that is really the power you speak to in terms of people being able to take Twitter and know that this is the fastest way to reach the world. That's because of our openness, because tweets are public, because they can flow anywhere. You can see them on television, you can see them within newspapers. I think our real challenge is making sure that we're continuing to give people reason why they don't just see that on TV or in a newspaper or the source on a website, but they actually want to download the app and personalize their own news stream, and personalize their own experience, and also get into the conversation. And we're working really hard to provide more and more reasons. And the NFL experience and the live video experiences that we're doing are yet another reason. Anyone can watch a game. It's really easy to do. Watching it with a commentary that we can provide these really unique and differentiated expert voices around whatever topic it is that you care about is really cool, and you learn a lot, and you're entertained. So we're continuing to simplify our service, make sure that it gets easier and easier to just pick up and see what's happening in the world or what's happening within a topic that you really care about.
Okay, now I just want to sort of delve a little bit into how clients and indeed agencies choose one social media platform as apart from another. I mean, how do you see our agencies, our competitor agencies, and indeed our clients choosing Twitter as opposed to other platforms? What are the considerations that they make?
Well, first and foremost, I think there's room for a lot, and I don't know if you have to make such a binary choice between them. I think the strengths of Twitter have remained the strengths for 10 years, and number one, that's our focus on live and our focus on real time, and that has always been something that is extremely strong. So I don't know of any other service that can break news as fast as we can, and it be from the source. And it goes back to that openness of the platform, where people know if they tweet, it's going to reach the world. It's going to reach the world in the fastest way possible. We've also seen a lot of successful campaigns, not just broadcasting to their customers, but actually having conversation with them, and even to the degree where you start having customer service relationships as well. So customer service is one of the patterns that's been on the platform for probably 8 years, starting with this guy in the middle of New Jersey, who this was the first occurrence that we saw of it, who would complain every single day about how much he hated Comcast because they would not come to his house. It was in the rural New Jersey. Comcast actually got on to Twitter, tweeted at him, "We're going to DM you, give us your address and a van will be at your house." And 3 hours after that, he got back on Twitter and said, "Comcast is the best company in the world." So they were able to turn around a complete and do a 180 on brand perception based on having that real-time conversation and just being aware of what their customers were thinking and how they were perceiving their brand and wanting to engage even deeper to fix that situation. And doing it from a public
So I think,
but also being able to go private into a direct message. So that is really powerful. I don't see people. So, you hear me?
yeah, we're having a little bit of difficulty, but keep going, keep trying.
All right. I don't see it comparable in the ability to really share what's happening with you in your business and what you care about most, but also have a conversation on the exact same platform.
Okay. Now,
and the benefit of the public is that everyone can see that conversation as well.
okay, now here at DMEXCO, there's been some debate, and the session I had with Shane, and I should just mention that Jack is on the Disney board, so I can't miss this opportunity to ask you, as a non-executive director of Disney, and given Disney's investment in Vice, what do you think of Vice?
I love Vice, independent of Disney. I'm really into the edginess and the depth, and the thoughtfulness of the content and the interviews specifically. Shane is a master of conversation and really understands how to get the best out of people and get it in a way that is really compelling, but also
okay.
Really raw and fresh, and
we're having a little bit of technology problems. I don't know whether we've outlasted our time. We have another 10 minutes. Are you still there, or we lost you? Okay, I think that answers the question. Well, in the end, we got about 20 minutes. 25 minutes. We had lots of other questions for Jack. I think we decided that if we lost the connection, we would call it in. But you got about 20 minutes worth, well, of it. I will say in Jack's absence, oh, he's back again. Are you still there?
I can't see you, but I hear you.
We got you back. So.
Okay, cool.
Let me just ask you, a lot of debate here, and I had it with Shane, about the duopoly, the Google, Facebook, 75% of digital, 75% of incremental digital spending. We see it at WPP and we see it elsewhere. The third force that people talk about is Snapchat, possibly AOL and Yahoo. How do you see the relative merits of Twitter against Snapchat and newer platforms like Snapchat?
Well, I think you know, as I look at the horizon, I think there's a real opportunity for us to continue to strengthen our spirit of showing what's happening in that news use case. When you ask people what they get from Twitter and what they see in Twitter, usually news comes up as a topic. Like, this is how I found out about what's happening in the world. This is how I found out that, you know, Michael Jackson died, or there was a protest, or there was a new product release, or just what, you know, the iPhone just launched. What are people thinking about it, and are they going to buy it, and should I buy it? So we carry a lot of the world's conversation about every single topic under the sun. And we also enable people to have this broadcast mechanism where they can reach the entire world faster than anywhere else. So we're really focused on the news network aspect, and also being social around it. I think a number of others are focused more on purely social or more on purely entertainment. We're somewhere in the middle. I think for a long time also we have been lumped into the category of social network, and I think a lot of people come to Twitter expecting to find what they would find on social network. And while we have social behaviors on our platform, people certainly talk with each other. You're not going to find the same things on Twitter that you would find on the social network. You're going to find what's happening in the world. You're going to find what matters in the world. You're going to conversations between two world leaders, and that I think really sets us apart, and always has. This is not new in the last year. This is for 10 years, and something that we're really, really proud of, that we carry the world's conversation and anyone can participate.
Okay, now. We've covered a lot of the changes, last night's changes with the TV apps, your live streaming of the game, 16, 17 games, whatever it is, this season. What other changes are we going to see at Twitter over the coming months? What new innovations, new changes are we going to see?
Well, we're taking on this approach right now of making sure that we really simplify the service so that more and more people can immediately understand how to use it, and more importantly, why to use it. So I think a big part of that approach was first making sure that we're resetting expectations around what Twitter is. And clearly, we want to make sure that people understand Twitter to be the place to see what's happening, to get the news of the world, to get the news of the topics they care about, to get the news of what's happening around them locally as well, which is fantastic about. But anything that you have an interest in, you can usually get opinions on, and you can get insight, and you can get commentary, and that's really special. And we want to continue to strengthen that, but also simplify the ability for anyone to get into it and participate. I think the second biggest thing is our investment in live video and live streaming in particular. We just think this is a perfect complement to our usage. And it goes back to what I said earlier, around for 10 years, we've been watching people, seeing people tweet about what's happening on a screen in front of them, bringing those screens into one screen, enabling people to have, to be able to watch, but also watch with the commentary that they were getting from Twitter before, but to have it in one experience in one app, in their hand or on their television set, is a big part of where we think we can add a lot of value and really innovate around as well. And then, and third, we think there's even more opportunity to make sure that conversations are easier and more expressive on our platform as well. And this is conversations between people, conversations around topics, conversations between company and its customer. There's a lot here. So we're really looking at our core, and we're trying to make it better every single day.
Okay. Now,
a lot of that is right.
Now, we talked about presidents and prime ministers and candidates who use Twitter. There are CEOs who use Twitter. I don't tweet. But what's the we might be able to remedy that. If you promise to come back or to come to D-Mexico live next year, I promise I will go on Twitter. That's the deal.
Are you?
So do we have a deal?
We have a deal. If you get on Twitter, I'll come live.
Okay, fine, good, deal done. Okay, that's a promise. But
okay,
coming, at least there'll be some value. There'll be some value from this. But what advice would you give CEOs and indeed candidates and prime ministers and presidents on how they could use Twitter better? What do you see them doing wrong, or what do you think they could do better?
I think just being yourself is number one. I think when a leader or a CEO or someone who has a leadership position in an organization takes to the platform, they really have an opportunity to humanize the organization, the company, and the government, and make it feel a whole lot smaller and relatable to people, and really have conversations. I think Elon Musk is one of my favorite examples of this, where he is constantly on Twitter. He's constantly talking about what they're doing and how he's feeling about it as well. He's very open. He's also using it to correct press and to make sure people are focused on the right things. So I think he's a really good model of how to use it well. And he gets into conversation. I mean, he loves what he does. He's a scientist, and he geeks out on the platform, and he has conversations about this as well. And it's just really cool to see. And it's also really cool when other CEOs get in. It's like Jeff Bezos announcing his rocket program, and Elon Musk responding with what he's doing with his space rocket program. So there's just these interesting dynamics that emerge on the platform organically and naturally, and that really humanizes both. It humanizes the entire organization at the same time. And you know, it makes it easier to love even more the product and the service and the people behind that.
I shudder to think when I go on Twitter what my Twitter feed is going to be like with Maurice Levy, but I'll leave that to others to think about. Just the final question, because we've come to the end of our time, but just final question. You position Twitter, and you said in this session, as a site for breaking news. And how do you balance the immediacy with the accuracy? Because one of the big, I mean, we had an example of that. It wasn't broken on Twitter, but a completely erroneous story about an investment by WPP in an ad blocking activity was completely inaccurate. That happens. So immediacy, does it mean accuracy or inaccuracy?
Well, I think it gets to accuracy much faster. I think if you have the ability to immediately correct and immediately be on the record with what's actually happening and what's actually true, I think you get to that accuracy much faster. And we've seen this on our network for 10 years as well, where, you know, I think one of the first experiences of this is, you know, we have a lot of earthquakes in San Francisco, and we would get tweets all the time, earthquake, earthquake, earthquake. I think it's a 3.7. I think it's a 4.7 out of Richmond. I think it's a 3.9. And then the USGS gets on and says it's a 3.7 out of Berkeley, California. And you go from speculation to fact very, very quickly. And it's, I think we have the ability to help get a bunch of opinions very quickly and then really find the balance and really find the truth in between them. And that is the role of a journalist. That is the role of a newspaper. And that is the role of editorial. But I love the ability and you and folks like Elon who takes the platform to really state the facts from their perspective. And they may be challenged in them, and it's good for people to see that. But being able to get out there very quickly and state it, it's really stunning, and I think really powerful.
Very good, Jack. Well, look, I love, you've got a full room here. You must have about 2,000 people in the room here. So just to know that this was very well worthwhile. It wasn't as good as having you here live. We all love your bedroom. We love your pajamas. It is now almost 2 o'clock in San Francisco. So we've exacted our pound of flesh for you not turning up here. We're delighted that you're going to be here next year. I'm delighted that I will be on Twitter as a result. So
Twitter is a perfect format for you because I don't think I've ever received more than 7 words written. So we have this amazing train of 140 characters, and that's all you need.
And I didn't even have the opportunity to ask you whether the iPhone 7, with its lack of a jack, causes problems for the other Jack. That's the Jack Dorsey at Square. So I'm going to leave that hanging as a question. So thank you, Jack. Big thank you to all your colleagues at Twitter for enabling us. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for doing it with such good humor and such involvement, and for being so articulate at between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning. God knows what you're like at 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.